morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to a session that's going to go through the real estate calculations, or what some of us just label as math. My name is Brenda Kasuva, and I am the admin to our Facebook private group known as Pass the Real Estate Exam. If you are an individual that is working towards passing your real estate exam, let's connect. I do offer a lot of content in that group. We have a couple of videos on our YouTube channel, and we do offer tutor sessions or group coaching sessions to help you pass the exam. For the state part of the exam, I focus on the Maryland law as well. Check out trainingwithbrenda.com or brendakasuva.com. So you're here in order for you to pass the real estate exam, and we know that we have some math questions that are presented on the exam. That's what I'm going to focus on, and I'm going to focus on two topics: the amortization chart, which talks about the mortgage factor sheet or chart. You're presented that during the exam when you're taking it. And then the other one we're going to talk about is commission. Most of us are getting into this in order for us to make money. So we do need to have an idea as to how much we are getting compensated when the money flows through your broker or your principal broker or your managing broker, depending on what part of the country you are in. So let's dive in. We start off with the topic of real estate calculations. So math, that's what we're talking about today. What I want to start off with is this quote: "Let's make sure your worst enemy doesn't live between your two ears." Some of us hear that word math and we cringe. Some of us get excited. Some of us are kind of in the middle. You're not really sold on this thing, math. So the conversation here is, don't worry about it. For those of you who cringe, math is not your friend. Move on. Yes, move on to talk about or get very comfortable with all the other topics that are presented on your real estate exam. There are some who have passed without even going through the math questions. So if you are presented where you feel a certain way about math and it's not friendly to you, just focus on the other topics. You can still pass that real estate exam. I'm focusing on these two on purpose because you will be presented with that mortgage factor sheet or chart. So you might as well know a little bit about how to get the question when presented on that topic of financing. And then the other one is commission. It could be presented so many different ways. I just want to plant the seeds in terms of the breakdown of the commission, or what some of us might refer to as splits. So let's get into it. Let's start off with the breakdown of the questions. There are two major testing facilities in the United States. You have PSI exams, and if you're not familiar with the breakdown of the questions, I will tag a video that walks you through on how to gather the questions and the breakdown of what is presented on the real estate exam. For those of us who are familiar or have heard of PSI, this is the breakdown of the questions. Salesperson is going to get 10% of the questions, so that ends up being about 8 questions. On the broker side, you get about 6 to 7 questions on the broker exam, broken down with this particular content. So number 4 will be a conversation that we're going to be talking about today. And then as you look on this presentation here, letter B, boy, number 3, we're going to talk about that as well. The rest also will be combined in our conversation today. Number 7, we'll briefly talk about that as well today. For those of you who are taking the broker exam, you notice the additional math questions that are presented on your exam. The other testing facility is Pearson VUE. For example, the state of Texas. Here's where you're being told you'll get 7 questions on the salesperson exam, and the broker exam, you get 8 questions. Again, as you're looking at these, you notice what it is that I'm going to be talking about. Letter C, commission. So it doesn't matter where you are to find some value in this particular video. And then we get into letter D for dog. Number 4, amortization. We're going to be talking about that. All the others, if math again is friendly to you or you have a good understanding of it, now you have a breakdown of what is presented. My promise today is to cover these two. The amortization given the mortgage factor chart, because that is something that I know is going to be presented to you when you go take the exam. It will be printed out and either posted on the cubicle or on the table upon which the keyboard is located. Remember, you're going to be given a pencil, a calculator, and a piece of paper. Other testing facilities might give more, like for example, disposable earplugs and headsets. Please check with your testing facility what is provided, but those are the basic items. So the mortgage factor chart is definitely going to be provided to you. I'll get into that shortly. The other thing that I picked out is your commission, because I think most of us are doing this in order for us to make some money. Therefore, we need to make sure that we understand how to calculate the payout that you receive for all the work that you're doing from your broker. Remember, when it comes to the commission, it is paid to your broker, and then your broker is going to pay you your compensation, or what some of us will refer to as the split. The amortization chart. This is what it looks like. So on the exam, however, they are not going to present you the one where it says at the top with the monthly payment. That will not be there. And most likely this column for interest rate will not be presented. So here the hint is what? Monthly payment per 1,000. How do I break this down? If I was going to borrow $1,000 from you today, and let's say you are my bank, Wells Fargo, I've gotten a credit card from Wells Fargo or Capital One, Discover, etc., and you are now borrowing $1,000. Then your bank has given you the interest rate of 3%. And let's say it's going to take me 20 years to pay off this $1,000 loan. The number here presented is going to represent how much I'm going to pay every single month based on this interest rate to clear off a debt of $1,000. I am going to be paying $5.55 every single month for 20 years to clear off $1,000 debt. That's what this represents. We're going to tie in the dots shortly. When you are presented a question that is, again, going to give you the loan amount, you're going to divide that loan amount by 1,000 and multiply it by the factor. What am I presenting when I say the factor? There are columns with the number 10 years, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40. And then you have the rate, the interest rate. The numbers under the column of rate is a percentage. Again, the numbers represented under the columns of the years, 10, 15, 20, etc., is a dollar amount. So when I continue this conversation, if I'm borrowing that, the loan amount is $578,500. The rate is 4.25% for 30 years. What is a monthly payment? I give you a couple of seconds. You can pause here if you want to work it out yourself. And let's see whether our answers match. Divide the loan by 1,000. That's what I get. And then I am going to multiply that to the corresponding number. What is the corresponding number or the factor? I will look for 4.25% under rate. And then I'm going to go towards the right and match it up with the amount of years, which is 30 years. I found it to be $4.92. That's what I'm going to multiply by that $578.50. This is my principal and interest. We're not here including taxes because that's going to be property based, and we're not also including the insurance as well. Just on principal, what I borrowed and the interest, this is my final payment. The next thing we're going to talk about is question number 2. Another example. The example here that we've been presented is the sales price is $625,000. The down payment is 5%. You've been given your interest rate and you've been told for how long. They're asking you what is your monthly payment, and again, this is only based on what you borrowed, the principal, and the cost of borrowing money. Keep in mind the chart or the sheet that you're provided is based on what you borrowed. So the first thing we're going to do is to find out, well, how much am I borrowing from the bank? I have my own down payment of 5%. Therefore, we're going to find out what the loan amount is. To find out the loan amount, one way is what is 5% of the sales price. So the sales price is what you and the seller agreed upon as what you're going to buy the house for that price. When you go to the bank, you're telling them, no, I have my own 5%. I'm only going to borrow 95%. So one way some people will do it is, what is 5% of 625? You'll get that amount, and then you take it out from the 625,000 to get what your loan amount is. And why we're doing this is because down payment is money out of your pocket that you're going to bring the day you get the keys to the house, which some of you call closing. You're saying, I don't want to borrow this entire amount. I have some of my money here, and the reason why you're doing this is obviously to reduce your monthly payment. Some of us, again, are going to just do 95% of 625. I'm just showing you both ways. Either way, we get to the loan amount. You need to first know what the loan amount is. Now that I know what my loan amount is, then now I use the chart or the sheet or the amortization or mortgage factor chart. Divide the loan amount by 1,000 and multiply by the factor. And again, the factor is based on what? The interest rate and the amount of time. In review again, that's the question. We now know what the loan amount is. $593,750. I'm going to divide it by 1,000. Why? Because the chart or the sheet presented is again based on 1,000. What I borrowed is monthly payment per 1,000. I get that number. And then the next thing I'm going to do is to look for the corresponding amount. So I'm looking for 40 years because that's what the question presented. And I'm looking at 3 1/4. That number matches to be $3.73. I rounded it up. You multiply that with the $593.75 to get the monthly payment of $2,214.69. All you're doing with this particular question when presented, what is a monthly payment, is remember the numbers that are below the columns of 10 years, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40 in this example is a dollar amount that I am paying every year for however long it's presented on this particular chart based on what? The interest rate that I'm being charged. It is per 1,000, so you're going to be dividing it by 1,000. Now we talk about commission. This is probably why majority of us are in this business in order for you to get paid. Remember that the disclaimer is what? You always get paid from your broker. You and the broker that you decide to pick are going to come up with a split. Remember, all of this is negotiable. you and your buyer already had an understanding what your compensation is going to be. The seller and their listing agent also had an agreement signed indicating what their compensation is going to be. And then when you bring that buyer to settlement, you and the buyer have already agreed what the compensation is going to be. It's going to go to your broker, and then your broker is going to split that with you. This is when you're interviewing. I'm going to echo what I already shared. You're going to be finding out what your split is from the broker when the compensation is paid out to them. If I give you a couple of seconds to look at this particular question. The selling broker, here let me remind you, sometimes the wording might be different. So this exam is nationwide. When you see selling broker, remember that's the person who's bringing the buyer. So that's the buyer agent. Some of you will see the buyer broker. Some of us will see the buyer's agent. The selling broker is working for the buyer. I know it's confusing for some. The selling broker, because the house doesn't sell without the buyers, maybe what I'm going to present there. So the person who brings the buyers representing the person whom you might see called the selling agent or selling broker, that's the buyer agent. And the listing broker or seller's agent or seller's broker is working for the seller. Just reviewing some terminology there for some. So this question, a selling broker paid their salesperson 40%. So this is a person, the broker who has which side? The buyer. So the broker paid their salesperson 40% of what they received, which is 3% from the sale of a property, and that's the price. What did the broker retain? And those are your choices. I'm just reading it out loud for some of you who might already be working this out. This is an opportunity for some of you to pause, try it on your own, and see whether we shall come up with the same answer. Wonderful. Let's see how far you got. First, I need to find out, well, how much did the broker receive? And then we shall talk about then what was the broker left with. So this is going to be almost like 3 parts. We first find out what is the entire commission received. In the question, we are told 3%. 3% of the sales price, the $426,500 times 3%, that's the number I got. Once we have received that, then we have to then figure out, well, what is the salesperson getting? Or some of you will quickly jump this step and go directly to what the salesperson got, because we are told in the question 40% is what the salesperson got. Again, math is presented different ways, so I'm going to show 1 or 2 different ways that you can get to the same answer. Some of us naturally start with the salesperson because that's who you are for majority of us. How much is paid to the salesperson? The salesperson is getting 40%, therefore the broker is getting 60%. So this is what the salesperson is going to get. And then some of us, once we find that out, we're going to take it out from the received compensation, leaving the broker $7,677. Now, why do I focus on that? Because we need to read the question. The question is saying, what did the broker retain? I know some of us, majority of us are going to be on the entry level. You're not a broker yet, or the supervising broker, the managing broker, depending on the wording in your area. So some of us are going to be looking at, well, what am I getting? But that's not the question. The question is, what did the broker retain? So you salesperson, when you got 40% of the 3%, the broker kept the 60%. So in review again, in case you missed it, I'm going to present the workout here. The broker is getting 60%. So some of us could easily work it out. where you find out what is the entire compensation, the $12,795, and then you multiply it by 60%. You'll still get to the same answer, 7,677. Sometimes I get somebody calls me and they're in another state, or they're in an area in my state that relates too far from me. So we have this thing called a referral fee, where I might present to you someone that I've been working with, and maybe I'm not able to continue working with them, and therefore I pass it along to someone else to continue that process, and I could charge a referral fee. So in this particular question, if I'm reading it, some of you are going to be working it out as I am reading it. Go ahead and start doing that. My past client, Sheila Webb, contacted me to help her son buy a condo. I was too busy at that moment and asked a wonderful new agent, Jamal, to go ahead and represent this buyer, Sheila's son. The offered buyer agent compensation from the MLS. MLS is a multiple listing service, a database that you will get comfortable with in order for you to do this business. So the offered compensation is 3% to the buyer agent. Since I gave this lead to Jamal, I asked for a 35% referral fee. Let's see. I didn't rename that one. My apologies. This is human error. Instead of Brittany split, it should be Jamal. My apologies. Jamal split of 55%. So, sorry, Brittany is Jamal. The property sold for $242,000. So again, Brittany doesn't exist, and this is where, since we're live, I am going to go ahead and change it because I don't want any confusion. It is Jamal. I just liked the name Jamal. So what is Jamal's split? Here's where we're talking about how much is he going to get. Did I get that right? Yes. So Jamal's split is 55%. There's a lot of information here. One is the sales price is $242,000. The offered compensation is 3%. So first we need to find out what is the commission, and then we're going to get the referral fee first. So first we're going to find out what is a referral fee. We're not worried about what Jamal is going to get, because the referral fee to this agent is going to be paid first. So think of it this way. When you get your gross income on your check, they're going to deduct a couple of things before you get to your net income. So think of the referral fee is going to be paid off first, just like the way you pay the government first, and then you're going to get your net income. So that's how we're going to start off with this conversation. So how much is a referral fee? So referral fee here again is going to be the 35%. So how do we work it out? The sales price is $242,000. And then we're going to find out the commission offered is 3%. So we find out what the commission is. And you're seeing the conversation is offering the two ways you could do that. Do it on your calculator, 3%, or some of us will convert the percentage into decimal points. Either way, you're going to get what the compensation is, which is $7,260. That is what is going to go to Jamal's broker. And then from there, we're going to now pay out the referral fee. So once the commission is received of $7,260, then we take out the referral fee of 35%. And that is the amount that my broker is going to receive. So step number one, what is the received compensation received? 3% of $242,000. And then from there, we take out the 35%, that is the referral fee. Next question, same content. And this one is, what is Jamal going to receive? Again, my apologies. I know some will be correcting me. I know you've seen Brittany. I was making changes, and here we are, human beings. It is Jamal. So we are focusing on Jamal. So what did Jamal receive? Once the referral fee is paid out, which again, reminder, 242,000 times 3% is the received compensation by the broker of 7,260. Referral fee has been taken out, and the referral fee is 2,541. What is left? So Jamal is receiving whatever is being received, which is the 4,719. Jamal's broker is keeping 45%. Jamal is getting 55%. So what is the amount that is being paid out? This is where we're getting to figure out what is Jamal going to get. Now again, I got here because we had to take out the 35% from the received compensation on a 3% transaction. So from that 4,000, we're just reviewing it again. So from that 4,719, Jamal is getting 55%. This is what Jamal is going to receive from this particular transaction. So a referral to some of us is, and I know when we hear 35%, we're automatically thinking, yeah, that sounds like a lot. But as you can see, it's something better than zero. The breakdown of this was a sales price of $242. The received commission to the broker on Jamal's side is $7,260. The referral fee paid out to me is $2,541. Jamal is getting 55%. So Jamal is going to get $2,595,045. Some of us are going to continue this conversation. My advice is, if all of this presented you to scratch your head and you are like, okay, I did not get that. I totally get it. I'm going to echo what I started off with. Move on. If math is not your friend, move on. You can easily pass the exam without doing well on the math questions. So move on if math is not your friend. However, I know these two you definitely kind of need to have an idea on, because you want to make sure that they're calculating your commission well, and you are provided that mortgage factor sheet for a reason, so you do need to kind of at least get those two questions correct. What's next for some of us? Go ahead on YouTube. You can find out how to get your exam bulletin in order for you to know what you need to focus on. If you haven't scheduled your test yet, go ahead and do that as soon as possible. Once you have a date, you have a goalpost that you're working towards. We do offer group coaching sessions coming up. This is the second Thursday of the month. We offer that at 6:30. And then we have another one usually on the third Saturday of the month. Go ahead and check out that website for our schedule. Once you have your scheduled date, that would allow you to map out your study time. Take advantage of some of the free resources that we have available for you to pass your exam. One, the first Tuesday of every month, we get you ready to pass the exam with a free exam prep to just talk about what to expect and how to study and break down your studies. If you're watching this outside of the Facebook community, join us there. Search for Pass the Real Estate Exam, or go to Groups Pass Real Estate Exam. We also are building our YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe. We shall definitely alert you when new ones are posted. I thank you so much for watching this. Go ahead, put any comments, and we shall definitely respond. Top right hand side is a QR code that you're able to scan and connect with us. That's our contact information. Let's continue this conversation online. Social media, you can find me with Brenda Kasuva or #training with Brenda. Thank you for watching. Go ahead and subscribe for you to get notifications for our future videos.